The gentleman on the left playing with the shark, remember him? We'll talk about him later. Next slide, please. Sea Scout Scuba, which is S to the third. We all know scuba diving is an equipment extensive sport, and it is expensive. And that's always been one of the real problems. We've done surveys in the southern region, and normally Sea Scouts in a survey of activities they want to do, learning to scuba dive is normally in the 1 or 2 category. So the youth want to do this, and we're trying to figure out how we can get them in there without breaking the bank before they go to college. What we've done is we started with S3 with some dive shops to begin with, and they agreed to do a specific price, and then every one of them was doing an upsell when the units got there. So what we've come to the conclusion, and because every dive shop is an independent unit, and they're all looking for money, that we've given some ideas that are baselines that the units can then talk to themselves. They can talk to the group and be able to negotiate actual deals. Each ship will have to negotiate straight with their dive shop using this as a modal. Next slide, please. Benefits on both sides. And this is something that is near and dear. We need to reduce the cost of open water diving, which is the basic certification. And I think we're well along to getting to that point. We want to give an opportunity to create scuba ships. There are about 6 or 7 of them in the country at this point, and they seem to be functioning pretty well, including Kathy Whittick's out in the middle of the desert in Lake Haversey. This also opens up additional scuba diving activities to scouts. You know, if we look at sea scouting, everything in sea scouting is high adventure, and scuba certainly is part and parcel of that. It's also a team building program. In diving, you have a buddy, and you always have a buddy. And as you go through the program, you know, breathing underwater isn't a natural act. And it's a training scenario, and people learn. And having groups together tends to really reduce some of the angst, and they get together from there. Last but not least, on the scout side, it's a life skill. You will be able to go to hydrospace. Not that many people in the world have actually gone and breathed underwater and seen things. Dive shops, you got to convince them, why do they want to do this? This is a brand new source of directed new clients. Dive shops are notoriously owned and operated by divers that want to take a hobby and make it a business. Some of them are good at marketing, some of them aren't. Most of them are pretty good teachers, and the way the certification agencies are going, they are teaching ongoing certified groups in a consistent method. It would also secondarily help them sell equipment and advanced courses. This program is only for the introductory open water certification with the dive shops. We need to get the kids started first. It also gives the dive shop an opportunity to charter, be a chartered organization as a scuba shop. This takes some time to discuss them, unless the scuba shop owner is in fact a scouter and has been a scouter. Telling them that they could actually charter a group and all that's intended is a little overwhelming when you first talk to them. But if they go through a training class with the youth and the leadership talk back and forth and they see what it is, I think we have an opportunity to start some scuba shops. It's good for them because the scouts will tell a friend and they'll tell a friend, and it grows. It also gives them a tremendous media PR program that see what they're doing with Sea Scouts and they're helping, and it serves the community at large. Next slide, please. We have a memorandum of understanding with 3 different certification organizations. These are all, they all agree to work with the national standards, and the federal government has said as long as they're doing that, they have the ability to train students. Scuba Diving International was probably one of the first ones that we really worked with. They're very much on board. NAUI, National Association of Underwater Instructors, has reorganized in the last few years. It's now the only nonprofit And we are discussing with them that we could actually, Sea Scouts could actually become a dive shop in legalese for them and get certain things from it. Professional Association of Dive Instructors is the largest in the world. They run Sea Base, and I can tell you just amongst us all, they're not really happy about maybe discounting anything because they get full rates down at Sea Base. Next slide, please. Every dive shop needs to contact their certification agency directly for a reduction of cost of training materials and certifications used in the Sea Scout program. This is important. Sea Scouting cannot get in the middle of a dive shop and their certification agency. Two of the three have already agreed that they will discount significantly the cost of the training materials and the certification cards, which it translates into lower cost to our students. But the dive shop has to do that directly with it. We can't get in the middle of it, and believe me, we don't want to get in the middle of it. So when the unit starts to discuss with a dive shop, if it's an OWI shop or an SDI shop or a PADI shop, they can go straight from there. You will also run across another certification agency called SSI, and the odds, we do not have an MOU with them at this point. They were purchased a couple years ago by head of Europe, and they're not real thrilled about doing something, so we're dealing with the original three at this point. Next slide, please. There we go. This is open water certification to Sea Scouts. At this point, we have negotiated with all the certification agencies that only the youth get it. I am an instructor, and I've seen Boy Scout units come in and they negotiate a deal for the Scouts, and next thing you know, you have 17 adults who could have paid for a course trying to jump in on the side. And we're trying to get this for the kids. And I think depending on what the adults are, and again, how well they negotiate with the dive shop, they may be able to do something, but specifically it is for the youth. One of the other things we said on the S3 program, everybody in the dive shop that has contacts with Sea Scouts must take the up-to-date youth protection training. I've been diving for a mere, 48 years now, and I've seen a lot of dive shops. And believe me, there's a lot of people that need to take this training before they get anywhere near our kids. Next slide, please. This was a suggested price. We actually did a market study, had a beta test, and had 12 dive shops that said, yep, $299 for the confined diving and some equipment and the testing. The classroom would be sufficient. And like I said, virtually every one of those 12 decided to, no, we really do want to make more money. But that is in fact a good baseline, and quite a few dive shops will offer prices similar to that. And again, each shop is an independent entity, and they also need to talk to their certification agents because they could probably get a well, they will get a discount from two of them for Sea Scouts that would be significant, that helps their bottom line. Next slide, please. What this program is, and this is what the dive shops agree to for S3. They go, the two agencies are SDI and NAUI. Patty is not thrilled with it, with even the comments or everything else. The gentleman that was very receptive, unfortunately, is quite ill, and somebody else has gone on there. It's SDI and NAUI. And they are very enthusiastic supporters of this, by the way. The dive shop agrees to the classroom training and the online materials. Open water diving, you sign up as a student, you get a certification number, you go online, and you literally go through the textbook and take exams. and it will keep a record of the exam. So you're able to go through it at your own speed and work your way through it. I think it's probably better than trying to cram it into a weekend. So you have a chance to go through that computer record, which is part of the certification agencies, then kicks back to you and finds out that yes, you did go through it, you did take the test, and you did pass each part. The confined water training is basically the swimming pool or a a small bay or place where the water isn't running but it's clear. Confined water is where we actually teach you how to dive, how to put your mask on, how to take your gear on and off, and start to get muscle memory of what you're doing. This also consists of the basic student equipment of mask fins, snorkel booties, and wetsuits. You will see an ad a little bit further of the kind of equipment they need. So very quickly, that's available. It's available at discount, and that will also give a commitment on behalf of the youth. That's included in the $299. Certification cards, they do charge for that. The open water, in other words, that's where you go out to a quarry, a lake, a river, the ocean, would be priced differently because this program's worth is operational across the whole country. Next slide, please. Oh, and the referral letter that I say is at no cost. If they can't do it, you go someplace in the Keys, they will give you a letter that you can then go in and say, all right, I've passed all this, it's time that we can do this. We have an MOU with Diversco, which is based in the Atlanta area. They are a fairly large wholesale house. We have the best prices ever. They gave us the same price as the largest clients. You can see the prices of the equipment. The equipment's good equipment. It's not super duper equipment. It's good equipment. I actually have the Akonis myself, wetsuits. So as you see the prices and then you go to a dive shop, yes, there's a huge difference. This will give the ship the ability to negotiate. If the dive shop has their own equipment, say fine, but we can buy this. And all they have to do is contact Diversco with the code, which is on the bottom of that form, and they can get those prices. Next slide, please. Coming attractions. We have a memorandum of understanding with the Divers Alert Network. This is a group that teaches maritime first aid. It is a great program. The professional diver is actually approved by the U.S. Coast Guard for mariners. And this is a perfect place for us to give kids the ability to go through it. Those prices and classes will be taught by the DAN instructors throughout the country. The equipment, which would be like O2, masks, AEDs, are going to be sold to us at wholesale prices. So we'll have that information out to you shortly. The other thing is we're going to start scheduling diving trips for either ships and or individuals. This will come out after November in DEMA, and we will have different diving trips. We'll stay in the United States for the first couple of years. After that, we'll start going offshore. Next slide, please. We are going to do S3 Max, I guess you would say. We're going to do a week-long in-camp open water diver training program along with the DAN professional diving certification. It will also have the introduction to the American Academy of Underwater Sciences Scientific Research Diver Certification. It won't include that. It'll be the introduction to it because we will in fact be teaching the AAUS class in the summertime to more advanced divers, because if they pass this class and they go to college and want to get into the marine sciences or oceanography in the ocean with their instructors, they need to have this certification. Universities, they'll give it to them, but since it's a 100-hour course, they will take 2 semesters to pass it. So the summer before they become a freshman, we can actually give them that ability. So I think it's a real unique scenario. And remember when I told you to keep an eye on the guy that was playing with the shark? That's Dr. Sonny Gruber. I've known him for a long, long time. I was a research diver when he was a PhD student, You might have seen him on Shark Week last week. We have a pending agreement that we will take advanced divers, particularly ones that have the AAUS certification, to Bimini to help him in water research with tiger sharks and hammerheads. So if there's a high adventure person out there, this is pretty cool. And they've never had anybody bitten so far, but it's a real rush to go out and play with them. Next slide, please. The oceans are waiting. We need to do this. I took that picture in the Galapagos Islands. I have a pending agreement with the University of Miami, who has a research station there, that we will be able to take a group of 3 or 4 Sea Scouts who have been trained all the way through, including scientific research diver. It is one of the most amazing places on Earth. So there's lots of neat new things that are coming with scuba diving, and it's something that you will not be able to get anywhere else in Boy Scouting. Appreciate it. If you have any questions, send me a note at s3@seascout.org.